Welcome to our class, 6th grade reading. I'm your teacher, Miss Moses, and we are excited to share our class with you. We're going to jump right in today to our book, Mountain Pathways. So you'll want to grab yours. We already have ours out and ready to go in our class today. And let's look at the title. The title of our book is Mountain Pathways. And as you look, there are students watching, you're looking, as well as us here in our classroom. Any ideas about why they may have chosen this picture for the cover of our book? Why do you think they chose this picture for the cover of our book? You think of an answer there. Maybe you'll have the same one that we do. Riley, why do you think they chose this picture for the cover?
Because it's like a picture of the mountain and it's called Mountain Pathway.
You're right. It's depicting the picture of that mountain there. And then what's running down the mountain? Do you see it, Caleb?
A river.
A river. And that river is following a certain pathway. This year in reading, we're going to get to explore many different things. Some things we'll get to read about, such as today. We'll read about things that have happened in the past. Some of the things we read, they'll just be fun stories. We'll get to learn about some authors, some literary elements, but I think you're really going to enjoy delving in to this exciting year. Open up with me to this very first page. It's a page that looks like this. There's several parts, Skylar, that each book will have, and this book is no different. This book has what we would call a title page. This title page here, it just does a few things for us. It tells us the title, and then it just says some things about the author, some things about the publisher of this book. And then as you flip to the next page, there's a short note to teachers and parents. Now, obviously, I'm the teacher, or maybe your parents are there with you, but something I wanted to point out that's important here, it says, paths that lead to friendships, to encounters with the natural world, and to worlds of imagination await students in the pages of Mountain Pathways. You're going to get to use your imagination a lot, students watching and students in our room, as we read these different things and picture in our mind what the author was trying to convey. I'm going to give you a second there. You have your table of contents. I want you to read through that table of contents. See if there's a story or a title there in that table of contents that you say, hey, that looks interesting to me. That's something that I'm excited to read in just a little bit. Anything catch your eye as you're looking there? What caught your eye, Skylar?
The horse.
The horse. That's an exciting one. I'm guessing there's some type of animal in that one. How many of you enjoy stories about animals? I do also. What's another one that caught your eye, Emma? Why don't you keep looking and we'll go over here to Sophie. Sophie, what caught your eye?
How to tell the wild animals.
That is one of my favorite ones here in this book for sure. Emma, did you find one that caught your eye? No. I'm sure you'll find something throughout. Look again. We'll come back to you in just a moment. Elijah, what caught your eye in that? There's another page as well, Emma, as you look.
The Pied Piper.
That'll be an exciting poem. It's actually several pages long. Emma, did you find one?
Snake that learned Morse code.
Yes, that's really funny because you don't think of snakes as doing things like that. As we jump into our book, we have several words that are going to come up in our reading today. The first is Inglenook, and we'll take a look. It's over here on our screen. And this is what the word looks like. The word is Inglenook. Class? Inglenook. Inglenook simply means just a little area. Maybe you have a special area where you like to read. That would be your Inglenook. The next word is the word meandering. Class, it is? Meandering. And it simply means wandering from place to place or going through a certain area. We have our first reader. Audrey, why don't you come up today? You can stand right here. She's going to read the title and author of our first poem entitled, Who Hath a Book? As she's reading, students watching as well as here, figure out what they're describing a book as. Audrey?
Who hath a book by Wilbur D. Nesbit. Who hath a book hath friends at hand, and gold and gear at his command. And rich estates, if he but look, are held by him who hath a book. Who hath a book may fight or sing, or ride or rule, do anything. And he may dwell in humble hut, or palace ere the book is shut. Who hath a book hath but to read, and he may be a king indeed. His kingdom is his Inglenook. All this is his who hath a book. Who hath a book should thank the Lord, because he may a book afford. And in his prayer this clause is due, Lord bless the man who writes books too.
Good. Thank you, Audrey, for your reading. You had a lot of good expression. Keep working on smoothing it out a little bit. I have a question for you before you leave, Audrey. Audrey, in that second line there, you can stay right here. What does it say you have if you have a book? It says you have a
Friend.
Yes. How can you think of a book as a friend? That's kind of interesting. What do you think, Elias?
So, like, some people, like, read books all the time, so they might think a book is their friend.
Yes, somebody that's there with you, something that you go on adventures with. You may be seated, Audrey. Thank you for your reading. It also says that his kingdom is his inglenook. Maybe you've read a book before and it just got your imagination going as you were sitting there. That's your inglenook. It's your kingdom. It's a place where your imagination can run free. I hope that this year in Mountain Pathways and our other readers, you'll enjoy reading some things like that. We're looking now at page 3. It's just a note about some of the things that we'll find here. Colton, why don't you come read for us in thinking about who wrote this poem, Who Hath a Book?
The author of Who Hath the Book refers to a book as a friend, as gold and even as a kingdom. He used vivid words to keep the reader see.
Go back and start that sentence again. He used vivid words.
He used vivid words to help the reader see what a great treasure a book can be. What word might you use to describe a book? Would you call it a treasure map, a garden, a teacher? How about a pathway? All readers are travelers, and stories are the path they take. Some might take you along quite peaceful.
Try it again.
That's
the word that was on our screen earlier. Meandering
path. Some through paths of adventure or paths to understanding and knowledge. Others might take you back in time. You might find yourself gazing up at a starry night.
Look at that word. It's not starry. It has a R sound.
Starry night sky, or suddenly caught in a blizzard.
Good. Did you notice the question it asked you there? It said, what would you call it? A map, a garden, a teacher, a pathway? How would a book be a teacher, Colton?
Because it teaches you stuff like...
Can you think of something specific that you've ever learned from a book?
Like what? Like history and stuff?
You can. Students watching, maybe you've learned something from a book as well. Thank you, Colton. Heidi, come on up and finish that for us.
Have you ever hiked up a mountain? If you have, you know the view from the top makes the climb worthwhile. Your new perspective helps you see further than ever before. In a similar way, reading great stories and poetry can broaden your perspective and help you see more of the world around you. Mountain hikers wear rugged boots, bring along a map and a compass, and carry a backpack full of useful things. You are going to need your imagination, reading skills, and appreciation for a variety of literature. Are you ready?
Good. Do you know what literature means?
Like older stories?
It could include older stories, but literature really is just what you're reading there. Thank you, Heidi. You may go to your seat. And just as the author there encouraged us to use our imagination, our very next selection is part of our first section in our reading book. It's part of a section that we would call Pathways to Days Gone By. And as we look at these pathways to days gone by, our first selections here will have to do with things that happened in the past. Things that happened before today, similar to history. Our first selection is a true account of an author. She had an imagination. She wanted to write about something specific. And in fact, she wanted to be an author because she knew of an author. Maybe you, students watching, have a favorite author that you enjoy reading. As we're thinking about this selection, we have a few words that will come up. The first is the word seized. Class, it is? Seized. And that just means held together. The next one is endearing. Class? Endearing. And then our last one here, mischievous. Mischievous. Endearing has the idea of something that is special or precious. And then mischievous has to do with getting in trouble. As we're looking at Kate the writer here on page 4, notice it has that quotation at the top. It says, some folks mistake all they see for all there is. Now, as Christians, what do you think? Would we say that all that we see is the only thing that there is? Hillary, what do you think? Is there only what's here?
No.
No, obviously, who do we know exists that we cannot see, Hillary?
God.
You're exactly right. And as we think about that, we have our selection, Kate the writer, and it's going to remind us of this verse. We have 2 Corinthians 4:18. It says, while we look not at the things that are seen, but at the things which are not seen, for the things which are seen are temporal, but the things which are not seen are eternal. I wonder while we're reading, can you pick up on some things that Kate is learning? And as she's learning, can you yourself think of some things that we can learn from reading our Bible, from reading God's Word? Jael, you're going to be our first reader today, so come on down and you can start with Kate the writer.
Kate the writer. Long before she wrote her own stories, Kate Douglas Wiggin fell in love with books. Growing up in a small town of Hollis, Maine, Kate spent much of her time reading, and she considered her books to be her dearest friends. Her favorite author was Charles Dickens. She never got tired of reading his books, for his stories opened up a world of imagination and wonder. In 1868, when Kate was 11 years old, she learned that Charles Dickens was touring America to read his books aloud to the public. One of his stops was Portland, Maine, 16 miles away from her home. Because Kate's mother had already planned to visit a relative that week, she decided to stop in Portland to attend the reading with her cousin. Although Kate traveled with her mother, she was not able to attend the reading because of her age and the ticket prices. That night, Kate battled disappointment as her mother and cousin left without her. With Dickens' characters crowding her dreams, Kate drifted off to sleep, wishing that she could have heard him bring them to life.
Good, very accurate in your reading. Keep working on smoothing it out. What was the name of Kate's favorite author?
Charles Dickens.
It was, and he's a very famous author. Perhaps students watching, you've heard of him as well. Students watching, you're going to have an opportunity to finish this selection on your own. You'll want to read all the way through page 7. And as you're reading, see if you would wanted to have had the conversation that Kate did as well. We'll see you in our next lesson.